hopefully you'll pass the word around. We'll still be having some other ladies join us as we go along. And, oh, I see. So there it shows there. So I'm trying to check out everybody here. So tonight we have some great speakers. This is fun. This is just our second time to do the Zoom. So we have 4 new teachers. So each month we'll have 4 different teachers, people sharing about a variety of different things. But it'll always be good tips to help you in your business. And what I've found is there's so many similarities between any kind of a entrepreneurial, well, that is a word, that kind of a business has many things that are similar. And so there's lots of, we can learn so much from each other by doing that. So let's have our speakers introduce themselves, give your 1 minute and give us a little preview, whatever you want to say. So Krystal, you get to go first.
Okay, my name is Krystal. Sure, my name is Krystal Shipps. I'm a therapist and a dating coach in the Kansas City area, located in Overland Park. And I see individuals, families, and couples for counseling. I see adolescents over the age of 14. And I also recently accepted a contract where I'm doing part-time in-home therapy for kids in foster care. So kind of a gamut of therapeutic services there. I'm also a dating coach, so I kind of work with singles that are tired of being that way and want to get back out there, possibly after divorce or death of a spouse, or maybe they just have never found someone that they click with. So that's what I do, and I'm looking forward to talking to you tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about self-care and work-life balance, and some ways that we can start implementing those things if you haven't before.
Awesome. That is great. And I think that's something most women need to hear about and to learn to do, is self-care. I mean, that's a big deal. Matter of fact, I think because it is such a needed thing, it actually has a name. I don't think 10 years ago, or at least I don't remember ever hearing about self-care. And now it's becoming more common, right? So yeah, that'll be great. Okay, Judy Bond, the Bond team. Talk to us.
Hi, everybody. Judy Bond with the Bond team. I'm affiliated with Personality Insights out of Atlanta. And I help you understand yourself and other people.
We can't hear her. She needs to turn her volume up a little bit.
Yeah, Judy, can you talk into your mic a little better?
I can hear myself. Good to know.
Yeah, we can barely hear you.
Well, it's good to know. Well, next time we'll do it the setup differently. How's that?
That's better.
Okay, I'm going to talk like I'm talking to a whole room full of people, okay?
Yes.
All right.
That'll work.
So what we're going to do tonight is make sense of your people puzzle, and this is a workshop that I do with the businesses, I do it with schools, I do it with churches, because everybody needs to understand about people. You know, nobody ever taught us that people are different, and it's okay. So that's what I'll be talking about this evening.
Yay. Thanks, Judy. And I'll tell you, once I learned, we all know in our families how our son or our daughter are different from each other, raised in the same household, right? But they are just so different in how they relate and how you talk to them and everything. So I'm looking forward to see what you have to say about that. That's awesome. Okay, how about Rena?
Well, good evening. My name is Rena McDonald, and I'm an attorney with the McDonald Law Group. I have owned my own law practice for 11 years now. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about negotiation. I think it's a really important topic, especially for women. Obviously, we come at negotiation a completely different way than men. And so hopefully you can get tips. So next time you're negotiating, you will get in there and get what you want.
Awesome. That is great. So just as a quick little thing, so do you think that most of us negotiate at some point or another, Rena?
I think you negotiate every day at some level, even if you're negotiating with yourself about having that extra cookie or whether or not you're going to take the time to, watch this TV show. We negotiate every day in every aspect of your lives. My children actually are great examples of negotiators. I think children are intrinsically born with this ability to negotiate, and they know exactly how to do it. And you kind of forget as you get older because you start being concerned about other things. But yeah, I think you negotiate all the time.
Awesome. I would guess so. So thank you for that. I look forward to hearing what you're going to say. And then last is Jennifer. So Jennifer, Go, girl.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Mills, and I'm a trusted advisor with American Family Insurance. My primary focus is small business insurance, and tonight I'm going to talk to you guys about your life preservers. And it's just anyone who has talked to me already knows that's a passion of mine, and making sure everyone has the right coverages and such. And I was giving Delinda a hard time. You put the insurance person last, so I don't want to see everyone popping away. I promise it's entertaining. I promise you're going to learn something. So please don't leave me just because it's insurance. So I look forward to talking to you guys here in just a little bit.
Thanks, Jennifer. And I told Jennifer, I said, no, Jennifer, I put you last because you have such a fun personality. They don't want to miss you. So
That's right.
we're talking about a life preserver because we all need a life preserver at some point, right? So she'll be telling you about that. So that is great. Okay, I wanted to just, before we start, I wanted to just click down and see if there's any new people into the meeting that hi Al, nice to see you. And let's see, Lisa, I've already said hi to the Lisas. All right, just seeing, make sure I got to say hello to everybody. I love that. So, all right, well, Krystal, you're right here. And, oh, hey, Kathy, now I see you. So if you'll just get us started, we'll just jump right in. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the gals, so go ahead.
Okay, well, I think the topic of self-care, a lot of people think of that as, okay, are you taking a bubble bath or are you taking a walk? And I think self-care can be a lot of different things besides that. I found an article that kind of really sums it up really well, and I'm going to make a graphic of it that I will email out to you at the end whenever I have your information. Each one, I think, it kind of opens up a new conversation, so I'm going to try to keep them short. The first one is to know your worth, and I know that in the foundation of my practice is self-worth work. If somebody doesn't feel like they are worth anything, well, why take care of yourself if you're not worth anything, you know? Getting to the root of that, looking for evidence to the contrary that you're not worth anything. That's the fundamental part of my practice that I use with every person I see. A lot of times in our upbringing, we've gotten other messages, whether our upbringing was tumultuous and we really never really got told you're worth something or your opinions matter, you know, have value. Therapy can really help that. Like I said, looking for evidence to the contrary is something that we kind of investigate. So the first thing is to know your worth. The second one is to have a healthy work-life balance, and I think that looks different for a lot of people. For those of us, my kids, my husband and I have a blended family, and our kids are, we have 5 of them between the ages of 20 and 13. So we have the older kids that don't necessarily need constant, you know, care. It's just more of a, you know, hands-off type thing at their age. But when you have smaller kids, I think work-life balance is even harder. One thing that I have learned, which I didn't always know, is that when you are working in a job that you enjoy and it's your passion, then you just want to work all the time. You know, so it's hard. And I know a lot of you are entrepreneurs, and it's hard to know when to come home and turn it off. So finding that groove and that balance with yourself and your spouse or your and whoever you live with is very important. And it looks a lot different for each person. I think while it's important to enjoy what you do, it's also important to unplug, and finding that right mix of that for you is going to help with your self-care. The third thing is stress management. A lot of us carry our stress in different parts of our body. I know for me, it's my shoulders, my neck. I have the headaches, the migraines, you know, with stress. And getting a handle on that, whether it be finding an outlet, finding an exercise program, or something that we can do to just kind of pull that release valve on our stress, is going to help us to take care of ourselves. You know, stress is kind of like a balloon, and you keep blowing it up and you keep blowing it up, but you don't release it. You know, it just explodes and it pops and makes a mess of everything. So finding those ways to pull that release valve and, you know, take a deep breath and go again the next day. Number 4 is start living and stop existing. I think this is really important. There's a saying, wherever you are, be all there. So when you're talking about work-life balance, if you're at work and you're carrying stuff from home, super hard, especially for moms, to leave it at home or to leave work at work. But wherever you're at, enjoy where you're at, enjoy being at home, enjoy being at the office and contributing how you can. It sounds kind of compartmentalized, but I think we don't do a very good job of that as women, but wherever you are, be all there. Number 5 is to take care of your physical health. That can look like, like I said, getting a diet or exercise program. It could be sleeping more, sleeping better, going to bed instead of binge watching the latest show on Netflix, which I'm guilty of myself, making yourself go to sleep. You're just gonna show up in your life a little bit more engaged, and that's anything you can do for your physical health is gonna be better. The next one is really hard, I think. It's choose who you spend time with. If we've got those toxic people in our lives that are just an energy suck, they're draining and they're emotionally wearing, and sometimes we can avoid them and sometimes we can't. If it's a coworker or a family friend or, your husband's ex-wife, I don't know, I'm just talking, randomly. Sometimes we can't avoid those people, but being able to manage our interactions with them and choosing to be around healthier people who are an energy fill instead of an energy drain is self-care. One of my favorite words, and if you ever come to me for therapy, you're going to learn about boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls. You don't put boundaries up to keep people out. You do put them up to conserve the energy that you have. Carissa says she's a recovering workaholic. That's I hear you, girl. I'm becoming that. I'm having to really dial it back now that I'm doing what I've always wanted to do with my life. It's a good thing, but there's goods and bads. Like I said, with boundaries though, when you say no to the toxic people, you have energy to give to the people that you love. You have energy left to give to the people that care about you and that pour into you as well. Another one is laugh. Find a way to laugh, a belly laugh every day. Whether you gotta, watch your favorite show or listen to a comedy performer or have your little kid tell you a joke that doesn't make sense, or, laugh at your husband's jokes or whatever it is, some kind of a hearty belly laugh every day is self-care. The whole thing about laughing for 5 minutes burns calories. I don't, if it does, great. That's just another plus to it. But I think that, it's its own medicine and it's very good for you. Number 8, learn to say no. Kind of goes back to boundaries, but man, all of us, we're out there, we're trying to succeed. It's a dog-eat-dog world. We think, man, if we can just say yes to one more thing, and it's going to be the clincher to get my name out there, and but then you find yourself 5, 6 things a day, and you have nothing left to give. So, learning to say yes to the really important things and to say no to some of the little things. Always say yes if Delinda asks you to do anything.
Oh, thank you.
Always yes. Even though, you've never done a webinar before, just do it. Just say yes. I'm sure Delinda would get on to me if I said to learn how to say no to her. But learn how to say no to the things that aren't going to fill you. Number 9 is an interesting one. It's check your overthinking. So in what ways in your life are you overthinking, or are you in your head? Is it about your kids? Is it about work? Is it about your marriage? Is it just about self-perception? Sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and, get out of our head, check that overthinking, and really make sure that what we're spending all this energy and sleepless nights over is really worth it. I'm the queen of overthinking. So this one is the one that I'm saying, okay, Missy, listen here, you do this. Number 10, the last one that I have is accountability. I think it's important to have somebody in your life, in your network, that you can just be laid bare with and open with, and who's going to really hold you to that when you say, you know what, I'm not taking very good care of myself lately. Maybe they notice when you say things like, I haven't slept very well lately. I mean, I suffer with chronic insomnia. If, it's been a few days and then my friends, oh, you're looking kind of tired. Yeah. They're going to hold me to that and not let me continue to dwell in that stressful place. I think accountability is so important. And if you don't have that person in your network of friends, I tell people you can pay a therapist until you can make some friends. But find somebody objective that's going to hold you accountable. Because sometimes we need that person that doesn't really have that emotion. They don't want to step on your toes. Your friends don't want to step on your toes. Your therapist will always step on your toes. So finding someone that you can be accountable to. Do you have any questions for me about self-care, or how to set up a self-care regimen in your life, or kind of really anything else about therapy?
Krystal, I think you gave some great comments. What if you guys just post on there, what would be the one you would do first? Which one do you think really relates to you? I know sometimes you're hesitant to ask an actual question, but what do you think your area, which one of 1 through 10 would you start working on first? I have to see.
That's it. Yep. Well, I mean, you've got all that knowledge up there. You're probably just sifting through all that legal knowledge all the time. You probably got those wheels spinning all the time. I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Is it hard, Rena, probably not to take it home with you?
Yes. Kathy Weaver, hello. I haven't seen you since the day I tricked you into buying my lunch. I'll have to tell you that story sometime, guys.
Learn to say no. Oh, yeah, Judy. I think that one is a really hard one for women. I mean, we talked about last week on the Facebook Live was about, it's like really okay to say no. Matter of fact, it's really good to say no. It helps you a lot. Right. So, Krystal, these I wrote them all down, except I missed number 2. What was number 2?
A healthy work-life balance.
Oh, healthy work-life. Okay. I don't know how I missed that. Work-life balance. Maybe that's where I need to work or something because I missed it totally. So it could be.
But I'll put all in a nice, pretty graphic that you can print out. They're just on a Word document, but I'll make them into a graphic that I can send to everybody. So.
Yeah, that'd be great. So if you guys want to get that from Krystal, the way we have it set up is that you would email her, and I think Carissa is being so nice to just periodically put that info out there, but you can send her a message and then she'll send you the list, and that's as your free gift to us, or did you have something else as well, or is that's what you're yeah, that's great, because just think if you took that list and you put it on your mirror in your bathroom. Y'all know that I really think that if you want to make a change in your life, put it on your mirror so you see it every day when you get dressed. And so take the pen and then circle the one that's going to be your one for this week, that you're going to really take care of yourself this week.
Sounds great.
Yes, I think that could be. So anybody else have any other little sharing that you want to do? I just love these, Krystal. This is great. And we talked number 6 about choose who you spend time with. I think that's a crucial one. And it's really looking to see who you are spending the time with, because we do have a choice. I mean, some of them we can't totally get rid of in our life, right? Because they could be a family member. But we do get to choose who we spend the majority of our time with. So if you're at work and there's somebody you have to do that, then make sure you don't spend any more than those moments with that person. So really, and
don't absorb their energy. It's really hard, but
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, great. Krystal, thank you. I love that. That was great. Yeah. So thank you very much. So unless I don't see any other comments here, I was trying to look at the same time and learning to say no. Okay. So we're going to go then to Judy. So Judy, you're going to be next for us. And maybe I bet some of the things you're going to tell us about also would help us in our self-care if we learn how to speak to the people that are in our life.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, when I meet you, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So the first question I'm going to ask is, are you more outgoing or are you more reserved? You know, outgoing people are fast-paced, optimistic, energetic, and reserved people are just a little bit more laid back. And one's not good or bad, one's not right or wrong, they're just different. So think about that. Am I more outgoing? Am I more reserved? Some of you are saying, well, I'm a little bit of both. That's okay. Just for tonight, if you had to pick one, just pick one for tonight. Now everybody understands outgoing and reserved. We've heard outgoing, reserved. We know all that. Let me tell you where the real stress occurs. Let me tell you where the real conflict happens. And that's in the other dimension. That is the dimension of your compass. So some of us are more task-oriented and some of us are more people-oriented. And task-oriented people, we like plans, projects, agendas. And people-oriented people, we like caring, sharing, feeling, friendships. And one's not good or bad. One's not right or wrong. They're just different. Okay, so just for tonight, think to yourself, am I more task-oriented or am I more people-oriented? Now, you probably saw that one of those questions was really easy to answer, and the other one was a little bit tougher, okay? And we'll talk about that later on. So now we're going to put those dimensions together. Did you say you were fast-paced and task-oriented? Oh my, you're one of those dominant, direct, demanding, decisive, determined doers. Get it done, make it happen, do it now. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm sure that there are many people on this call that are outgoing and people-oriented. You're inspiring people. You're influential. You're very, very interesting. You've got those great shoes. You've got that great joy. You drive that great car. So those are our two outgoing styles. Dominant, direct, demanding, inspiring, influential. Now we'll go to the other side. We'll go to the reserved side. Oh, the reserved and people-oriented people, the supportive people. Oh, they're so sweet. Sometimes they can be kind of shy. Oh, and you know, they're just our favorite people. We just love these people. And then there's my favorite group. That's the reserved and task-oriented people. We're the cautious group. We've got lots of questions. Why do sheep shrink? If their wool doesn't shrink, wool shrinks, so why don't sheep shrink? See, I can't even say the question right. You know, how do flies, how do they be upside down on the ceiling? So we just have lots of questions. But if you want something done right, call us. Okay, so if we were all in the room together, I'd have the outgoing people come up to the front. I'd have the reserved people, well, they're already in the back, and I'd coax them out of their chairs and get them to go to the back. And then we'd have four corners. I'd have the people-oriented people on one side, the task-oriented people on the other. And To the dominant direct people, I'd say, if we want to get something done, that's why we need you. And to the inspiring people, I'd say, oh, if we want to have a lot of fun, that's where we call you. And to the supportive people, I'd say, you know, if we need cookies for tomorrow or somebody to pick us up at the airport at 3 a.m., we call you. And my favorite group, we say, oh, thank you so much. If we need something done correctly, just right, like our taxes, we'll call you. Now, we've talked a little bit about some of the positive side of some of these personality styles. Let's talk a little bit about some of the struggles, some of the things that might cause us to have difficulty with some of the other styles. So let's talk about that dominant direct style. You know, their danger zone is anger. They can become very, very upset. Sometimes we say they have a short fuse, but here's the good thing. They're going to usually quickly get over it. They're not going to, you've seen them fight with somebody and then go out to lunch with them. So that's what's great about their anger. Hopefully it's short fuse. Oh, the inspiring people. Oh, you know, they're just having so much fun. Sometimes they can just be a little bit irrational, you know? So that's just something for the inspiring people to watch out for. Did you miss an appointment because you forgot to write it down? Did you forget to get something done because it wasn't on your to-do list? Just having too much fun. Now, the supportive people, and I have a lot of this style, and you notice I said learning to say no. That's the problem that we supportive people have. We just don't know that word. And we can become, this is a word, it starts with S, it's not a very nice word, but we can be suckers because people know, they know that they can ask us for help. And we'll just, you know, we'll feel like we have to. But I've learned to say, oh, let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you. And you know what? I didn't say no, but if somebody's really trying to get something done, they'll dial the next supportive people on person on their contact list. And I didn't add another thing to my to-do list. Now, if you're one of my favorite group, if you're one of the cautious type, we can be perceived as cold because we're so task-oriented and so reserved that, you know, people think, well, they just don't like me, you know? So those are just some of the danger things. Now we'll go around the circle one more time. We've got time to go around the circle one more time this evening and talk a little bit about the needs of each style. Because these needs, when I tell you these needs, when I say that people need these things, I mean they need them just like they need air and water. So the dominant style person, they need to be in control. So that's their need. And so when you're dealing with a dominant style person, and think about police officers, a lot of dominant style people in that profession, you never want to talk back to them. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Emphasize that they're in control. The ticket agent, when you're trying to get somewhere, it's okay to say, you're in control. How can I get to Washington, D.C. today? But if you begin arguing with them, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be sitting there in the airport, right? Okay, the inspiring person, they need recognition. They want to know, but do you like me? They need recognition. They need approval. The supportive person needs something a little different. They need appreciation. You know, they don't need a plaque. They just need you to whisper in their ear and say, you know, you really did a great job. Thank you. And you know, oftentimes supportive people are working with dominant style people. Now, the dominant style person doesn't need appreciation. They don't need recognition. They don't understand. Why does anybody else need that? But that is so key. I tell the dominant folks, if you want to get something done, give a plaque to that inspiring person. Tell that supportive person he or she's doing a good job. I know it doesn't make any sense to you, but that will do it. All right, the cautious style person, they need, we have a terrible need to be right. And oftentimes I'll say about myself, I'm right even when I'm wrong. And we have a terrific need to correct people. Like I was just on a website tonight that was about decorating, believe it or not. And they spelled the word palette, like color palette, they spelled it like palette. And I was like, I didn't believe it. I didn't look at that website anymore because I'm like, how can they don't even know what they're talking about. They can't even spell color palette, you know? So we all have our needs. Okay. What we find is we often marry our opposite style because that opposite style attracts us. We see something there that we don't have. And then we get married and we wonder, what is wrong with this person that I married? And oftentimes I say, well, it kind of goes back to cave person days. You needed somebody up at all hours of the night, so you needed to marry your opposite. But you make a great team. Think about if you put it on the business side and you pick a business partner to work with, you often pick your opposite side. You'll have the outside person going out and doing the marketing, the inside person doing the administration. Again, they both have their strengths, but they get together and they're trying to make a decision, and they both see the world through a different filter. So if they don't understand personalities, they'll have difficulty in understanding, well, why does that person make decisions fast? I need more time to make a decision, or vice versa. Why is that person dragging their feet? This is a simple thing. Let's get going. Let's make it happen. So understanding personalities, I always say, understanding personalities, certainly it helps your personal relationships. Certainly it helps you deal with your spouse, your kids, but it's really invaluable in business, especially as you are selling to the different style of people. If you're an outgoing person, you expect your prospect to make a decision quickly. They may need more time to think it over. They may need a lot of detail. If you're like me and I'm more reserved and I'm trying to sell you, well, I may just overload you with detail and dump all these brochures on your desk, and you're like, I don't want any of that. So you have to understand the personality that you have, personality of the person that you're approaching. I always say, if you know you're going to be meeting with a dominant style person, you better bring a contract for them to sign, because they're going to decide quickly. All right, I think that's about my time limit. Does anybody have any questions about personalities? Oh, I'm going to be sending out 4 tips for your style, and that will be my gift this evening.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you were right on. My little timer just went off, so it was perfect.
Good.
So 4 tips for your style. Is that what you said, Judy?
Yes, Delinda.
Great. That was great information. So I think sometimes we don't look at ourselves to know what we are, and then we really don't get why other people don't get us. So
Exactly. And you know, you can, I want to emphasize a couple more things. We don't want to use this to label people. It's not to label people, it's to understand people. And also, we're a blend of all four. So we've all got a little bit of each one of the styles in us to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. That is great. Yeah, Judy, I think that that would be, we'll have to find a time for you to do a little, some kind of a workshop for us in one of our gatherings there in Kansas City. That'd be great.
I would love to do that, Delinda.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I appreciate that. So good. So y'all be sure to send your, send her an email. Her information is right there on the chat box. I can see that. And so we are going to go right along now to Rena. So Rena, you ready? Tell us how to negotiate. Let me unmute you first of all, and then thanks again, Judy.
Thank you, Judy. So tonight I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, which is negotiation. And if that's not one of your favorite topics, if the idea of negotiating makes you cringe, then this is exactly what you need to hear. So I'll tell you guys that I've been practicing for almost 15 years. And my first few years, I worked in a large firm that was mostly men. There was just a few of us female attorneys. And it was amazing to me. I didn't realize before when I was in law school how dominant, male the presence was in the legal field. So that was interesting. They kind of shield you from that in law school and tell you how everything's great and it's all about equality and everything else, but it's not in the real world, as many of us know. So, the way you approach negotiation is totally different depending on what kind of skills you have, where you've come from, how confident with yourself you are. Judy, obviously your personality traits are going to come into play in this topic as well. But, the biggest difference seems to be in your gender. So when men were asked what negotiation was like for them, they compared it to playing baseball. When women were asked the same question, they compared it to going to the dentist's office. So that just gives you a small example of how different people perceive it. So today what I'm going to talk to you guys about is just some overall tips about how to negotiate and what you should do. You can apply this to negotiating for a new car, for a pay raise, for a new whatever you want in your life. So anything that's important to you, you can apply these tips to it. So I usually talk in the context of a salary because it's something that most people can relate to. The first thing you want to do is you want to research and plan what you're going to be negotiating. So you really need to go out there and figure out how much you're worth, how much your contemporaries are receiving, what other things you can negotiate for other than money. And this is really important, specifically in the employment field, where, maybe your employer doesn't have the ability to increase your salary, but maybe they can give you extra vacation days or some type of incentive bonuses. There's a lot of different variations that will mean more money in your pocket, just like a pay increase would, but would be more palatable to your employer. So really do some research, know what you're going to ask for ahead of time, and have some backup plans, some alternatives of things you can ask for. You really also have to know your opponent, and you have to know what motivates them. What is the biggest factor for them that's going to either allow you to get what you're asking for or to keep you from it? Are they constrained by their ability to make decisions? Or maybe they're mid-level management and they can't, make those decisions and they have to take that higher up. Obviously in that situation, they can't give you an answer right then. So continued negotiations with them doesn't benefit you. But you really need to know what their pressure points are and what they're looking for. You also have to know what a timeline is. So if this is something you're negotiating like a car, obviously you want to have it negotiated before you walk out of the building, right? A pay increase or other types of negotiations, these can last weeks, months, years even in some cases. So know what that timeline is, because that will affect the urgency at your negotiation and how willing you should be to adjust what it is you're looking for. You also want to know, you want to have a basic plan before you go in. So you want to run through the scenarios in your head. You can use your friends to do this, have them be the other side. I always tell this example. When I went to buy my first car, I took my brother, who was, you know, very strong-willed, and I said to him, whatever you do, just tell the car dealer no, right? You got to be the bad cop. So the guy comes in with the first deal, and I'm like, oh, that's outside of my pay range. And my brother says, maybe you can call grandma and she can loan you the money. I knew right then he was not going to be any help to me. So, you know, run through those scenarios ahead of time. If you're going to take some with you, make sure that they're on the same game page and they don't suggest that you call grandma in the middle of the negotiations. You really have to know what that is. So really play that out. That will give you the confidence when you're in the actual scenario, and it'll help you come up with some different negotiation tactics that you can use. Because obviously if they're not agreeing to one thing, you don't want to immediately bounce into the other one. But if you've played through that in your mind and you have that plan ahead of time, you're going to be better off. You also have to know what your ending point is. So if your intention is to increase your salary by 5%, and that's the dollar amount you want, don't agree to 4%, because when you're done, you're not going to be happy. If 5% is what you want, you need to know where that threshold is, that one thing that's going to end the negotiation if you don't get it. And you have to be willing to deal with the consequence of that. So if it's a new car and you have a budget of, let's say, $500, and the dealer's coming back with $550 and can't budge from that amount, be prepared to get up and walk out. If you don't know where that amount is, you're never going to feel like you win at a negotiation. So there's a couple of strategies that I talk about with everyone when they're talking about negotiations. And I'll give you guys a hint. I'll save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't go to law school because they don't teach you to negotiate there. It's something you have to learn in the real world. You want to start high. So if you want 5%, don't start at 5% because you're never going to get it. You're going to end up somewhere lower. If you want 5%, a good rule of thumb, double it. Always ask for twice what you want, because then as you come back, you're going to usually end where you want to be. Don't be afraid to leave. I have negotiations every day on behalf of clients, and if it's not what they want, I'm not afraid to say no and hang up the phone, because I know what happens. The other side starts talking about it, they sleep on it. Well, maybe it makes more sense. You know, I like to leave them with the, okay, if you want to spend the additional $20,000 to litigate this issue that's going to cost your client $5,000, okay. They sleep on it, and 90% of the time, the next day or within a week, I get the phone call, we resolve the case. So don't be afraid to leave. Time and distance can be your best friend. And then if none of this helps you with your negotiation, I'm going to give you my favorite tactic. Imagine you're at the car dealer. How does that make you feel right now, thinking about having to go in and negotiating for a car? If you're like most women, obviously, you're not very excited about that. You're pretty apprehensive. Now close your eyes and imagine that you're not negotiating for a car for you. You're negotiating for a car for your son, your mother, your best friend. For most women, that completely changes the perception of how they negotiate. So if you are uncomfortable negotiating on behalf of yourself, just imagine that you're negotiating for someone else. And that little bit of mindset difference is usually enough to make most women feel very comfortable and get them the results that they're looking for. So with all of that, what questions do you guys have for me?
Unmute myself here. So yeah, let's see what we have here. Can you read Carissa's there, Rena?
Yes. So if it makes you nervous and you're comfortable with somebody else doing it for you, then that's good. I would tell you the next time you're in that situation though, pretend like you're negotiating for somebody you care about. I bet it'll change your mindset, because most women tend to be more nurturing than men, and just in general, which of course is a stereotype. It's not always true, but and so they feel the need to help other people. And so when you're negotiating for someone else, you're usually much more comfortable doing it. I will tell you, for me, I negotiate on behalf of my clients every day, and I love negotiating for them. When it comes to me, I'm not always quite as excited about it. So I know that firsthand, but American Pickers makes you nervous. I love American Pickers. You can get out, start small, go to a garage sale.
I don't like that either.
Start negotiating there, and you'll build yourself up to a confidence level that you can do it when it counts. Watch
Okay,
American Pickers.
Anybody else have any thoughts or question that you have for Rena? Rena, that was just great.
Well, thank you.
I just went out looking for a car just in the last 3 weeks, so I just experienced that, and I'm not sure if they won or I won. I went back for the car, so I got the car.
When everybody feels like, then usually it's an okay situation. If one person feels when they leave like they won, then usually they may not have, so if everybody's not quite sure, then usually you've reached a deal that gets you to where you need to go. I love this. My mom will have it at a garage sale too. She is the best. So I've learned to take my mom with me car shopping. She's much better than my brother was.
Oh, that was pretty fun. My mother is an antique dealer, and so I can hardly stand to go into places with her because she is going to take negotiation to the other. It makes me so uncomfortable. I just leave. I mean, I don't mind negotiating on things, but like, do we have to haggle over every little thing?
But I will tell you, I find a value in a discount. I've learned that from my mother. So, when someone says, "Oh, I love your shoes," if I say, "Oh, I got them on sale," like they're so much more valuable to me because I got them at a discount. So I probably would get along with your mom.
Well, and it is nice. It is certainly nice to get a discount on things. And I think in our day of, this isn't really with negotiating, but it just came to my mind. But when we buy things on Amazon and we buy things, all they said, we now are so used to discounts that if we don't get one, I mean, I just almost refuse to pay full retail for something, so that is a type of negotiating that's going on, whether we're doing it with Amazon or whatever.
But you just have to learn to take that same confidence into really important situations, which is going to lead into Jennifer's discussion, I'm sure, about saving up for your family. But use that same confidence that you would have at a garage sale, negotiating your salary or negotiating something that's really important to your family. And I think too often people think that it's completely different. It's really not. So hopefully some of these tips will help you. If you email me, I can send you out a checklist of some of these tips and some other helpful ideas.
Great. Thank you, Rena. That was great. We haven't been clapping, but yay, all three of them just did so great today. What's funny is, as I'm listening to you guys talk, I'm going to cancel our little thing here so it didn't go off, is that if you get really good at learning personalities, when you go in to negotiate, that's going to help you in knowing what triggers that person. And you can pick up on the personality. Sometimes they're more hidden, but very often you can pick up on personality things right away. Would you agree with that, Judy? I kind of saw you shaking your head. And, just as we're, how these things kind of all go together. It's like learning about giving, realizing that you're worth negotiating for, like especially in a salary situation, or that you're trading value. You're going in and you're willing to do this, and what are they going to give you back? In different kinds of situations. I always like the barter system because I'm willing to do this and I want somebody's services here. And if we can come to those terms, that is a negotiating thing that then, like say, hopefully both people feel good about what they left with.
You have to know what your worth is, though. That's why researching is such an important part of it. I often find that people undervalue how much they're worth. And so you really have to know what that is and why it's important.
Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you again. Okay, Jennifer, give us our lifesaver. I'm ready. Woohoo! Oh, wait. Let me unmute.
There we go.
On the uptake.
Hey, Hello, lovely ladies. I just want you to know how great it is to get to see just some friendly people that I've met, some people that I haven't had the opportunity to meet, and I'm so excited about that. Those of you that have had the opportunity to visit with me knows I'm very passionate about insurance. That's an unusual thing to say, but I'm really proud to say I work in an industry where I'm paid to help other people. And I think one of the jobs that I have is to actually educate people. Insurance is kind of a dry subject for a lot of people, but I really want you to think of it as a life preserver. Kathy was actually someone who helped me to kind of get my head around that's really what this is. You fall out of the boat, you're looking for someone who's going to give you a hand to get back in that boat. It may be a physical life preserver. That's what a fender bender is. That's what, unfortunately a house fire is. And insurance is just something that you go into the office, you pay for, and you file it away, just like hanging that life preserver on the side of the boat. It's the same thing until you need it. And boy, when you need it, are you glad that you paid for that? So, when you walk out of the office, I always tell everybody, you got to promise on a piece of paper, but we're going to honor that promise when it comes back around. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about commercial insurance, or the needs that you may have with your businesses that you guys are all running. And I want you to remember your business owners. You don't have a hobby that happens to make money. And according to the federal government, if you make more than $200, it's a business. So you need to be looking at it that way. In 2016, there were 11.3 million women-owned businesses in the United States. We generated $1.6 trillion that year. That is impressive. And I think we need to all applaud ourselves for that, because we are an integral part of that. And again, and I applaud every single one of you, because small businesses are the backbone of this country. 80% of the businesses in this country are small business. So, but what I want you to think about is whether or not you have the right life preserver in place. So I'm going to use a business that's been around for over 100 years. And we're going to talk about the little Avon lady who used to come and knocking at your door. She does it a little different ways now these days. And if anyone sells Avon, congratulations. But, when the Avon lady is delivering your little package that has your $20 thing of lipstick in it, she's in a car accident and that lipstick is destroyed. Not really a big issue. Insurance company really doesn't care. It's probably covered with her homeowner's insurance because it's classified as a content coming from your home. That one's not the one that gets you. It's when she's carrying $5,000 worth of merchandise in the back of her car because she's going to a trade show. That same car accident happens and she's lost all $5,000 of it. Does she have coverage? She may and she may not. Depends on if she's had that conversation with her insurance agent and expressed to him or her, I sell such and such. I sell this makeup. I need to make sure. It can potentially extend from your homeowner's insurance. Some companies do it that way. Some are going to make you get a commercial policy. And those are the conversations you have to have with your agent, because we're good. We're not clairvoyant. I tell everybody that, it's like, if you build the shed in your backyard and you put $10,000 worth of something in it, if you didn't tell me you built the shed and there's a fire, you have no coverage. So making those conversations is so important. So, you think about the people who have actual tangible stuff, but a lot of us here, just in looking at the faces that I see, we're actually selling a service. So it's similar to a piano teacher. They have little Johnny and little Mary that come over a couple times a week and take piano lessons. Little Johnny gets to the house and is so excited. He runs over to that grand piano, falls, breaks his leg and his arm as he hits the piano with his head. She may or may not have coverage because she's actually providing a service in her home. Again, if she didn't have that coverage with or conversation with her insurance agent, it's very possible little Johnny's mom is going to be suing the piano teacher. And again, a simple conversation. It could just be as simple as extending some coverage from your homeowner's insurance, but again, it might be a commercial policy. What I don't want is for you to discover that you have a gap when there's a crisis. It's so much easier to have the conversation now and get all of that out on the table with your agent. I always say that education is what you get when you read the small print. I read a lot of insurance policies day in and day out. I'm sure Rena gets the same thing. We read a lot of these documentation, but experience is what you get when you don't read the small print. Let me tell you, it will come as a shock to you. So again, I want you to understand that. And the other thing that's great is there's insurance for just about everything you can do. I looked up for a web designer the other day. I had someone ask me some questions. There is coverage you can get for the content on the computer. You have the actual computers that people use for that task. Stuff that's stored in the cloud. If it turns out the cloud servers crash, you know, and the great cloud falls from the sky, there's actually coverage out there that's going to protect that content. And that's, again, that conversation. If we had a conversation with each person on the screen today, I would give you, each one of you, different advice of the coverages you need for your businesses. So again, one-on-one conversation. And I would say if you're talking with your agent and they give you a word or phrase you don't understand, ask for clarification. When you sign that document, one of the things you are putting in there that some legal lawyer has put in our little contracts says, I fully understand everything I am paying for. And guess what? They'll hold you to that. We're in business to make money. You guys are in business to make money. That's how this whole industry works. So again, it's just so important to me, because what I don't want to see is someone, as a small business owner and as a female especially, you know, again, you take that $5,000, you know, Avon lady, and she has to suddenly replenish that out of her household budget. In my house, that's my daughter's education fund. That's my husband and I eating ramen noodles for 6 months, and a very unpleasant phone call that I have to make to him going, hey, honey, I need another $5,000. I don't want to have that conversation with him. So again, this is where it really impacts us as small business owners to make sure we have those right things in place. One other thing I want to touch on, and I'm so glad that, you know, actually Renee, Krystal, and Judy all kind of hit on it, of just talking about, you know, our own value that we have. I had a conversation with a female this weekend, actually a couple, and we were just talking about life insurance. And she said a phrase to me that I've heard way too many times is, my husband makes the money, I don't need the insurance. And I just, it breaks my heart and it craters me. Susie Orman has a great quote, and it's, if a child, a spouse, a life partner, or a parent depend on you or your income, you need life insurance. So do not think that just because you make only $5,000 that goes into the household, $10,000, $20,000, the husband and your life partner, whoever is making that bigger chunk of that, that does not mean you don't have worth. Please understand that. If you suddenly are gone, your children will miss you, your spouse will miss you, your neighbors, your parents, all of those people in your life are directly impacted. So there are different types of life insurance out there, whether it's term, whole life, living benefits, death benefits, funeral benefits. I could talk about forever about that kind of stuff, but find the right thing that's right for you. And don't think that, do not devalue yourself. That just breaks my heart every time I hear someone say that to me. It's like, no, you have a value. You really do. So a couple other things that I would just give to you guys as a piece of advice. First of all, if you have emergency roadside service with your plan, whatever that is, that you get to call the tow truck or they come jumpstart you or whatever, put that phone number in your cell phone, please. Do not call your agent and go, hey, I can't get a hold of ARS and I got a flat tire. Trust me, it's going to come in very handy. But the second one is put your agent's phone number in your phone. Because when that house fire happens, when the car accident happens, you make 3 phone calls. The first one is 911. Second one, sweetheart, husband, hey honey, I was in a car accident. Third one is to your agent. First one's going to make sure you get help right away. Second one says I'm alive, but that third one says start fixing me now. So put that number in your cell phone, because that will be a great help to you. The other one is put your company that you have your insurance with, their 800 number in your phone. So when the tragedy happens at 9 o'clock at night, most agents will answer the phone. I've already gotten a phone call at midnight from somebody telling me that something happened. But if you don't want to call your agent and get them out of bed, that's fine. Call that 800 number and get your process started. And again, in the middle of a crisis, those are the things you just can't find. And I promise you, it's pretty devastating. So again, it's just amazing to me the number of tragedies we hear about on a daily basis of people that if we just were able to reach out and get them a little bit more help. The other thing is, if you are going to trade shows, If you're going to a big, very structured one, they're going to require a general liability insurance. A lot of times you can call your agent and get that for just a couple of days if you need it, if it's something you don't currently have. But a lot of times in those small church basements or the very small gatherings, they don't think of it because it's a small group of volunteers doing it, or they're not requiring to see your proof. It's just written in your contract of, we assume you have that. Somebody trips and falls in your little 8-foot by 8-foot space, you could very well be liable for that. And just make sure you understand that. And again, my deal is even if it is the small church basement, I'd much rather be the responsible business owner and have that come as a claim against me than having that have to hit my church or another organization, you know, if I can just take care of that. So think of it that way. And those policies for that coverage is next to nothing for a couple of days. It really is beneficial to you because, again, you don't want to be sued for that one. So, and like I said, I could talk insurance for 5 hours if you let me. So I promise no actuary tables or anything else. But what I'm offering to you guys is a document, and it was actually, we supply it from American Family, but it's called Stay Open for Business. And it's kind of a checklist. It's a lengthy checklist. Parts of it are designed if you have a brick and mortar location, but a lot of it is for, again, just for home-based businesses. But it has in there who your accountant is, who, you know, what your serial numbers are for your stuff, some password stuff, some contact information for employees, those kind of things. But it helps you with that when the tragedy happens, you got a document that you can take care of. I encourage you to fill it out, print it out, and then also email it to yourself. Because again, when the tragedy happens at your location, you know, house fire happens, you guys, if you're working from home, potentially have lost your location of your business. And you want to be able to go ahead and still be able to attempt to operate as much as possible. So that's what I'm going to be sending out to everyone. And I also have a link in there. American Family has a really neat section on their website called the Business Accelerator. It's a lot of just business owner articles, not written for us or by us even, from just a lot of different sources, but there's some great things out there for marketing, social media, financial, all those kind of things. So I'm going to send you guys a link that you guys can sign up if you want to go out and look at those articles also. So I appreciate your guys' time.
Hey, Jennifer, that was awesome. Something I think I heard you say before, so I'm going to mention it so they can know. So let's say that, well, of course, everybody who's on here has a business. Let's say they have their insurance, but they don't have that whatever. What do you call that? Like you're doing the booth and
the general liability.
General liability. So they could check with you, and you could, even if they have insurance with somebody else, you could still get them that policy, or is that
No, it can be a completely separate policy. For most businesses, most companies will allow just you to have just your business part of it with them. If you want to keep your home and autos with somebody else, but especially those general liability policies, there's one main company that just about everybody uses that writes most of them that are out there. So we can just definitely take care of that with just a phone call. It takes about a 7-8 hour turnaround to get that.
Oh, that is great. Well, I know there have been numerous occasions where I've gone in to do booths, and sometimes, you know, if it's at a hotel, I mean, they require, and you have to show them the binder and everything. And the insurance company that they usually suggest, I mean, I paid way more, I know, than I've needed to, because they pretty much insist they don't say you have to, but if you want to make sure you're got your coverage. So it's nice to know that that is something that you could provide, or, you know, that you can go get that's separate maybe, and it's not something you have to pay for all the time.
Exactly. And if you have a regular commercial policy, I recommend you have it, because you never know when you're going to be in that situation where, again, you just don't know. Rena, I'm sorry, I said your name wrong. I looked at it wrong. Brought up an idea, you know, also bringing up the umbrella policy. If you don't know what an umbrella policy is, you know, you have your homeowners and your auto, and that's what most of us on this call is going to have. But they have limits. You know, if you're in the state of Kansas, your policy limits are probably 100, 300. I recommend 250, 500 for many reasons, but especially in Kansas City. And I would in Las Vegas especially, but you hit those limits, and your umbrella policy is that above and beyond. We're going to pay out up to $1 million or $2 million. And I just quoted one for a gentleman on the Missouri side for him and his family. And you have to have certain limits on your base stuff, but he has a $1 million umbrella policy, and it's $199 a year. And so he knows he is protected. He will, if again, it exceeds those limits, something else happens, he gets sued. The insurance company is taking care of that up to $1 million. And it is a huge, huge savings for them.
That is great. That is great. And sometimes I think it's just, and what I love about the fact that you love what you do is that so many times we just don't know, we just don't know what we don't know until somebody starts sharing this information. I think that's what's so great about having these type of events, for lack of a better word, so that we can come and find out, well, maybe I do need to check my insurance policy just to know what I've got. Then maybe, hopefully you go and you find out, oh yeah, I do have this coverage. But if you don't, then to start asking the questions or, call you. But having the information to know what to do. And with each one of you, the information has been so valuable that you've given us that we can we're going to be better because we understand a little bit more than what we did, before we took this call tonight.
Well, and I say again, remember to ask. They use a word, we use a lot of jargon. The skincare people use jargon that I sit there and look at them going, I don't get it. I got to explain that to me. I have no idea what that does for me. We all do that. And insurance people and bankers and lawyers, we're really bad about it. But ask, I've had people call me saying, I'm sitting in my State Farm agent and I don't understand what this means. He told me I have this. Is that what I need? That's great. If you're afraid to ask them, then ask me. I love it. Because again, to me, I just want to make sure you're protected. That's the ultimate.
Jennifer, I put in there that when we sue everybody, just because I think a lot of people don't understand that when there's litigation, if you're in the room, you're going to be included in the litigation. So making sure you have insurance is so important.
Yeah. And especially when they see it's a business, because again, you can be sued as an individual and as a business. And again, from anybody who's been in a car accident, you get a phone call after the car accident. Tell me about what happened. They're waiting for keywords. I was driving between two jobs. I was doing this, I was doing that. Because then that tells us that's a work comp claim. That's a this, that's a that. That's what we're looking for. And it's so important to understand all of that. So.
Trying to see here. Judy says, if you're on a nonprofit board, have your agent check the nonprofit insurance policy.
Yes, that's true. Yep, there is nonprofit insurance policies out there. Yeah, there's volunteer insurance. If you're volunteering for an organization that, again, something happens, it doesn't go against the organization. So there's just a lot. But I think that's where you just sit down with your agent and have that conversation and say, this is what I do. This is everything in front of me. And I tell people, if it's more than $100, if you bought something more than $100, call your agent. So you will be surprised at wow, guess what? You now need to bump your limits up just a little bit. We need to make sure that that's covered. So, and they'd much rather hear about it. Plus it's fun to brag. If it's over $100, it's fun to brag.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Jennifer or anybody on our panel? I'd say let's just open it up. If you want to talk, you can raise your hand, except Judy, I see here. So all of the speakers, they are already unmuted. And anybody else who wants to talk, if you raise your hand, on this one, you have to physically raise it so I can see you. But go ahead, Judy.
Oh, I was just readjusting my microphone so you could hear me. This has been great.
Oh, cool. Anybody, I don't see any other messages down here. I'm going to leave the speakers open in case we see a comment or if you think of something that you want to mention to anybody. I do want to mention a couple of things. Tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, I'll be on the Facebook Live. I haven't exactly decided what I'm going to talk about yet because I usually don't know until I'm getting dressed in the morning and then it's like God just drops it in my head somehow. Although I think I might talk about the best organizational tool I've ever used, and Judy Overweiss, so you might appreciate this, my spiral notebook. It was the greatest tip somebody gave me years ago. Now I don't have little pieces of paper all around the house. That's my saving. So I may talk about that tomorrow. And also I want to mention to all of you, because hopefully every one of you on here will really seriously be thinking about going on our cruise. which is next year, February 9th through the 14th. And wonderful Lisa Marutka, who's on our call tonight. Matter of fact, Lisa, I'm going to, where are you? Are you right? Are you still, because there's a link. Oh, there she is. There she is. Because she got the cruise lines to give us an extension, because I hadn't even had a meeting with our Fun Fearless Las Vegas gals to even really talk about it. So Lisa, you want to share a little bit about that?
Well, I think online on the Facebook page, there's forms that you can fill out, but it is a 5-day cruise on Celebrity, which is a very nice cruise line. We've got a great price. We've got great amenities. There'll be gifts for everyone that goes. We'll get some one-on-one with Delinda and have some workshops. It's going to be a really good time.
Yeah, it is. And so, because today was supposed to be our deadline, and she got it till when, Lisa? March 10th?
March 10th.
Okay. So we have a little more time to get your $50 deposit in. And the main thing with that is that the perks are so amazing. So if you put your $50 down to make sure that you get the perks, and then you get to looking and it's just not going to work out or you can't go, that is refundable to you up until whatever, 120 days before, which is way in the fall. But that gives you time and it locks in all those perks. So if you think even some fathom of a chance you can go, I would say reserve your spot, and then you can let it go if you have to. But the truth is, here we are, it's a year from now, and our schedule, so many times I hear people say, whether it's about the cruise or not, just in general, well, I'm going to wait and see where I am and what's happening. Well, why? Because we are the ones who decide what we're going to do with our time and where we're going to go and where we're not, right? Because we can make our own decisions. So if you think about that, would you like to be on a cruise with a bunch of great girlfriends next February this time? So keep that in mind. I just want to make sure that y'all did know it is coming up, even with the deadline. It's just nice to get that in, and you can send that information to Lisa. It's on the Fun Fearless Females community page. You can also go to my website, delindalane.com, because there's a tab on there that has cruise, and it'll have all the information on there too.
Krystal, you need to add that to your list. Take a cruise.
There you go.
There you go. Add a cruise. Oh, that's funny. Yes.
And there's lots of self-care on a cruise. Read a book,
yeah.
Sit in the sun. I don't know, play cards, I don't know how to play bridge and some of those. I can play a little poker. I can like that. I grew up playing, my dad was a poker player, and we played poker with pennies and with matchsticks. So we just learning how, the suits work together. It's kind of cool. Don't know where that came from, but.
Now, if I tell my husband poker cruise, he probably would be like, yeah, we need to go.
Well, you see, negotiating.
Right. It's all about negotiation.
Okay, so let's
great.
see, do we have any other any thoughts or things on here? So so each of you ladies of our speakers, tell us one last thought that you'd like everybody to just remember tonight before we sign off. It looks like we're going to finish up a little bit early, and hey, don't we all love getting an extra 5 or 10 minutes in our day that we didn't expect? That's our gift to you. So, but let's hear one more time. So, Krystal, you're on my screen because you and I were just talking. Why don't you start? Anything you'd like to leave with us tonight?
Just that old cliche of having to put your oxygen mask on before you can put everyone else's on. You have to take care of yourself before you have anything to give to anyone else. So
that's great. Thank you. What about you, Judy?
I just want you to remember that, we're all different. We're all a unique blend of the 4 personality styles that I talked about. And so we're seeing the world, everybody's seeing the world through their particular filter. And when we make an effort to understand how someone else might be doing things, it helps us whether we're negotiating, trying to understand someone's point of view. So that's what I would encourage people to do.
Okay, great. Thank you. How about you, Rena?
I wanted to thank you for putting this together. What a great, fun event this has been. I've really enjoyed listening to everyone today. I would just leave you with the, you're worth it. Don't be afraid to ask. And you never know what comes from that. So that's my mantra for the year. Don't be afraid to ask. Take it.
And that goes in so many areas. We're so afraid sometimes of people saying no, that we never ask a question that they could say yes to. They cannot say yes if you do not ask. I mean, that is basic sales, but it's in everything.
Right.
It really is, Rena. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. And let's see, Jennifer, one last thought.
So I would say communication is key. It is important for you to let people know what's going on in your world so that way they can put the tools in front of you to help you out.
Okay, great. All right, well, I don't see any other questions or thoughts on our chat board. Thanks, Carissa, for putting the information out there for everybody to know how to contact. Make sure, I'm gonna give y'all like 1 more minute to make sure that you get the information off, or if you somehow you're where you're just listening and you can't write anything down, if you send me an email about their addresses, I can send those to you because I wanna make sure you have that information. And all of you who are on the call, if you want, within about a week, I usually will have the recording of the call. And particularly for you speakers, I imagine you'd kind of like to have that for yourself. And you all did such a great job. Just thank you so much.
We need to say hello to Kristen. It looks like we had a new one join us. Kristen Griffin joined.
Where? Let me go see here. Oh, hello. Hey, Kristen.
And doing on my own Zoom call, but I wanted to chime in and just say hello to all the ladies out there, and thank you for having me.
Okay, well, thank you for being on. Let me see, I'm gonna look. So, hey, Julia. Hey, I unmuted your mic there for a second. Did you have anything you'd like to share with us? I mean, what was the best thought you heard or something you're gonna look at for yourself?
Actually, Rena, thank you for the negotiating, because I do a lot of that with my clients over possessions and things like that. So yeah, it was very informative and you were very supportive tonight.
Oh, thank you. You're very welcome.
Lisa, is this Lisa Fredrickson that I don't see you? I just see that you're here.
Yeah, I'm just here.
Oh, okay. Because usually before you had a picture up there, but I lost the picture, but I didn't know if that was still you. Any question or anything that you want to say before we sign off?
No, but for those who are in the Las Vegas area, have you mentioned the luncheon?
No, I did not. Thank you very much. See, it takes a village. So yeah, so we have our luncheon on Friday. Get your tickets. We'll be at our new location, which is in Town Square at Bonefish, and the information's all on the FFF community site as well as on my website. So that is Friday, and we will be talking about the cruise as well as our other stuff that we usually cover. Kathy, I see you're on there. Any thought from you? Anything you want to share?
No, I learned a lot, and I absolutely love these ladies, and I have sent emails to everybody, so thank you for doing that, Carissa. It was very awesome to have the emails at the ready, and so I appreciate that very much. And I love Zoom, as you know, Delinda, so thank you for teaching me so much.
Oh, the Zoom calls are really cool. I love it.
I use them all the time, yeah.
Yeah, it's like my new form of doing stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's almost as good as sitting down and having a cup of coffee together. It's the next best thing.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Delinda and I have a lot of fun plotting and planning.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah. And Cindy, what about you? I kind of unmuted everybody, so as long as y'all don't all talk at the same time. But Cindy, any thought or something you want to share out here before we go?
I was wishing that I had met Rena and was able to take her with me. And I bought my car in September and bought one for my son last month. And I always walk out feeling like a schmuck for even suggesting that they lower the price a little bit. They always just have a way of making me feel like, how dare you ask? We're giving you the best deal already. What do you think we are? And I'm like,
Next time, call me ahead of time and we'll create a strategy.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Need to have somebody.
Yeah. Isn't it nice?
For a while.
Yeah, we're just just filling our lives with people who have so many gifts, because the truth is we can't know everything. You know, we just cannot know how to do all of these things. And so as God brings you wonderful women into our lives, we know who we can reach out to ask a question, to find out what we need to know. And it's kind of like, well, I don't know. It's just, well, it is a sisterhood, but we're just building a community of friends that we know we can go to if we have a question. And Cindy, I don't think you were on yet. I'm trying to think. If one of y'all said that you were on, oh, was it you, Judy? It was talking about you went to a website and they misspelled the words, and it's like, I thought, yeah, that's what Cindy does.
I know. That's who I was thinking about, Cindy. Yeah. Well,
I heard her say that, and I'm like, yep, I'm doing that. And then the rest of the website, all I can think about is that word they misspelled.
Right.
So is we, you know, how we can help and assist and support each other. And I think that it's building the friendships and building the relationships, which is what we're all about. And I know that all of you women are, because I think, Kristen, you're the only one I don't really know. So I have to get to know you. We'll have to do a personal call so I can get to know you better. But anyway, so anybody else? I don't see anybody saying anything.
I added the list of everybody's email addresses. So if you guys want the offers from everybody, just like do one email and send it to everybody. So it saves you a little bit of having to send individual emails.
So there we go. Thank you. So yeah, and one of these months, Carissa will be on here giving some of her tips and strategies on helping us all in our technology, as she tames technology is what she does. So okay,
and actually, while we were talking, I went on the website and extended the date on your cruise page for you.
Thank you very much. I need help. I'm just saying. I mean, I know I need help. So anybody who wants to help me, I'm all for it. You know?
Carissa might need a whole hour when we get to that.
Say what again?
Carissa might need a whole hour. And so,
yeah.
So it is.
ZOOM-I-NAR all on her own.
Yeah. And what's nice about Zoom is that you can get on and see each other, and it makes the conversation, I think, go better, because there's a different relationship that goes on with, you know, as opposed to just talking on the phone. So thank you, speakers, ladies, you were amazing. I so appreciate you. I'll be sending out, I don't have the 4 set yet for next month, but I will shortly, and I'll let everybody know. But it's the last Monday of every month, and so we'll have our next one next month in March. And keep in mind, in all of these things, as you heard each of the speakers, it all revolves around choice. We all have a choice on how we live our life, who we spend our time with, what we're going to do. And so as you go out this week, keep in mind, you've heard me say it 100 times, you're going to say it in your sleep, I guess, but this is the bottom line of what I really, really believe, is that life is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. Choose wisely, choose what you want in your life, go out, make it a great week, and make a difference as you go. So go out, have a nice evening. Thank you for being here.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.